yeah, without further ado, who would like to start? Dane? All right, come on up, Dane. Let's go. Brother Dane, he's never scared to share.
Every single time. So, at first, I was just coming up to say how a few months ago, I was called to get my friend back into believing in Christ, but it hasn't been really well. I've tried really hard this weekend, but hasn't worked out. But about 2 years ago, I was called into ministry to be a youth pastor, but I still don't know what to do. So I'm just asking for help.
Yeah. Love you, Dane. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, the ice has been broken. Who would like to go next? Hey, if you want to share your testimony and you're like nervous of crowd speaking, I mean, look around. We got like half the people that we normally do in here. Let's go. Let's go. We got Diesel coming on up. Yes, sir. That's my boy. And he's got the Naruto shirt on. Come on.
Yeah, my sisters made fun of me for wearing it.
Dude, I love Naruto.
So on the last service with Pastor Manny, when he talked about anxiety, it was really powerful because I just get scared a lot, and I was just able to get like 4 pages of notes, and God just really spoke to me, and I just got a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it, but yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hey, man. It takes a lot of courage to come up here and do that. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And by the way, I want to give this shout out to the worship team. In case you guys didn't know, the entire worship team got sick today. So it was like an improv team. Super thankful for Tanner and Michael and Anna for being troopers. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Yeah, Grace, let's go. Crooked glasses. Her Braden headbutted her earlier and bent your glasses, so.
Okay, we're gonna get a little hot and heavy. So, where'd he cry? So, I don't know how to start this. So, I grew up in church. It's a pretty common thing, not common, but you know what I mean? Like a lot of people, like especially here, I know, there are a lot of people here who grew up in church. But that hasn't exempt me from things, like bad things that have happened. I went through some sexual abuse in my life, and that led me into things that I'm not proud of, like masturbation. And was a lot in my life. My lowest point had to be when I had isolated myself to the point where I know, like, I'd never talked to any of my friends. I was always home right after school by myself. And yeah, like, I was just completely alone. And honestly, like, that's probably the scariest moment in my life. Just not having anybody there. And as I grew up, I met some friends, Rachel and Braden, actually. And at that point, Rachel had really made a huge influence on my life. And I had been going to church. I'd been more committed to God. And I realized the church I was going to wasn't for me. And so Braden was telling me about New Hope. And so I was like, well, I'm not feeling my church, so I'm going to go to New Hope. And it really, like, put me into, like, Jumpstart. And it really got me connected with more people. And now I have way more friends than I did before. And I'm a lot happier now. And God has made a huge influence on my life. And, yeah, so just know that you are not alone. There are people. And you can never do anything too wrong because I was doing things wrong for a long time. And now I'm in a much better place now. And I have a lot to, I'm super thankful for the things God has put in my life because I definitely would not be here today if it wasn't for that. So, thanks.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Who'd like to go next? Haley. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I did go to Momentum, but I didn't really have anything as big that happened. Oh, Peyton wanted me to talk about the bus. So basically, I'll say that first, and then I'll go on about what I was gonna say. So basically, we were coming back from the mall to go back to session 2, and the bus just broke down in the middle of the intersection. The key was not turning over, nothing was going, and Katie and Hannah and the driver, I think his name's David. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, David, wherever you are. Basically, they told us to pray over the bus to start, and it probably was like 15 minutes gone by, and I was sitting next to Ashlyn, and Avodi was in front of me, and after the 15 minutes, not that many people were still praying. It was just a few select people, and everyone else was kind of just making jokes about it. But we kept going, and the bus started. It went from the key was not even turning to turned, and we were able to go and get back to conference with 15 seconds left. So, I mean, that was probably the biggest thing that happened to me. It was funny because Ashlyn was going so hard, and when she realized the bus started up, she go, "Praise God!" And then we got told to be quiet. It was fun. It was definitely an adventure. But back to what I was gonna say. Besides that, nothing really happened to me. I mean, yeah, but it was definitely an eye-opening 2 days because I never realized how many people that I talk to in a day and how many people that I see in a day that think that, they're not perfect, or that's not what I meant to say, that they're not good enough for Jesus, or Jesus isn't big enough for whatever problem they're going through. Coming from somebody that used to smoke, used to vape, used to drink, used to have terrible suicidal thoughts, used to have terrible angerment issues, Jesus is definitely big enough for anything and everything. And I mean, everyone's a sinner, so you're not good enough, but Jesus still picks you, Jesus still chooses you. He will leave the 99 for the one. And another thing that just came to my head was that you got to keep on praying even in those moments you have nothing left. Because I have seen breakthrough in so many ways that it'll happen, trust me. And I know you can't really put your trust in a word, but it'll get you somewhere, I promise you.
Great job. Yeah, Tyler, come on up. Let's go. Tyler and I have the exact same shirt. I'm not wearing it right now, but I think I wore it like 2 days ago.
So I'll start with this. I'm definitely not copying Grace how I'm doing this, but it's just very similar. I was at the age of 5 to 6. I was sexually abused on the bus for the whole year by someone who was several grades above me, and there was no one to help me. It felt pretty hopeless, and also I had no idea what was going on because I was so young, and it just happened through that school year. sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse. And it really just, as I went through my rest of my life through elementary school, it really changed me, and it affected how I interacted with people and how I thought about things. And by the time I got to middle school, 7th grade, it really went downhill. For whatever reason, people started just hating me. I started being gone against. I felt like I had no one to turn to, and I became very isolated within myself. I would hide away from people, keep myself in my own lane, and not even talk to any of my friends anymore. I felt very alone. When I got home, I would be stuck in my room, depressed, even sometimes suicidal, trying to fight it, but feeling like I was losing the battle. The only thing that got me through was my parents keeping reminding me that God is there to help you, and my friend who also was a good influence on me. By the time I got to high school, just this summer actually, I thought I was doing okay, and then sometime around June, all the memories from back in kindergarten came flooding back to me. All that feeling, that despair, just rushed back to my head. I felt lost again. I felt hopeless, like I had nowhere to turn to. And it wasn't until we went to getting into more things like Momentum and with friends, especially Braden, who helped me through a lot of things as soon as I met him. I felt like there was a reason for it all, and like I could finally see the light again. I finally was able to start talking to people again, to start opening up, being more comfortable, because I really never talked to anyone. And I actually felt like I could be myself again. And when we went to Momentum, just that feeling of comfortability and like knowing that everything will be okay really hit me hard. And that just wanted to say that you may be in your darkest depth and feel like there's no way out, but I can promise you there absolutely is, no matter how hard it gets.
So good. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, come on up. Let's go, girl. Yeah, you got this. You got this.
Okay. I really don't know what to talk about, but I feel like it's time for me to finally talk to at least some of y'all about it. Not too long ago, my cousin Ali passed away, and he was like the closest thing to me. Like, I would say a brother. And I thought so far ahead to where, like, I literally saw him till, like, where he was 6 years old, and we'll go to the park and play and stuff like that. He actually passed away not too long before his birthday when he was finna turn 1. And I really, like, needed help. But, like, and I had my cousin Kiviana. She'll come up there and tell me that everything would be okay. And that's when I started going to church. But the church, it wasn't this church yet. It was a church that was, like, closer to my house and stuff. And I really didn't see the point in it until they started praying for me. And it was when the first pray, and I think it was a pastor, and I told him about the situation, and like after he prayed for me, I really wasn't thinking about it too much because it was like a little voice in my head telling me that he was okay and that he was happy now and that he was in good hands. And then after that, I completely stopped thinking about it until I came here. And I don't remember the song that y'all played up here, but it was a song and it made me think about him. And then I think it was you who prayed for me. And it was that voice again telling me that everything is okay and I'm going to get through it. And then his birthday came. Really didn't cry because I prayed again. But that was actually my first time praying was on his birthday. And yeah. I wish I could show y'all pictures of him because he's adorable. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Would anyone else like to share? Michael? All right.
So if you guys don't know me, I'm Michael. I came here about 5 months ago, I think. It's been about 5 months. I've just never fully introduced myself, so I'm Michael. About last year, I met with our Youth Alive directors for the Illinois State. Their names are Billy and Katie Willis. And they came to me and they were like, hey, we feel we're called to the state to become Youth Alive missionaries. We would really like you to look into becoming our first campus club. And I thought to myself, I'm only 15 years old, 16 years old. I can't do a campus club. Like, I don't think I'm capable of doing that with me. My walk of faith wasn't the strongest. And I kind of just pushed it aside for a few months. Up until about March, after everything like died down, I was really busy through January and March. And they came to me again and they were like, hey, we want you to reconsider this. I know that you pushed it aside. And I was like, okay, like I'll pray about it. Just expecting like a no or just to forget about it again. And I prayed about it and Billy prayed with me one day and it kind of never left my mind, but I'm a very logistics person. So it's like, I need to see the whole plan out first that I know it's going to work or it doesn't go well in my mind. And I didn't see a plan. And I was like, okay, well, I know I need to have faith with God. And like, if he really wants this to happen, he will make it happen. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll try it. So I went to my principal and I was like, hey, this is our plan. I don't really have any like sort of plan for it, but I want to start this club. It's not a Christian club. I mean, it's a Bible-based club, and it's just for anybody that wants to come just to hear about Jesus and advance the kingdom of God. And I mean, I feel called to be a pastor, so I felt like that's my job as well. Not necessarily a youth pastor or a kids pastor, but the people in my school are still important as well. So he was like, okay, yeah, I'll bring it to the board in like the end of March. And I was like, okay, great. Like we'll start this in April and May, and then I'll pick it up my senior year. He didn't talk about it to the board in March. And I was like, okay. So then April came along, didn't say anything. May came along, and I was like, okay, like this is enough. Like I went into his office and I was like, hey, like what's going on? Why has this club not started yet? Why have you not got it approved? And during those 2 months, I told Billy, I was like, I kind of just don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to be a senior next year. I'm only here for one more year. Like, what's the point? It's not like I can make a huge difference now. I mean, I only got like 9 more months left to school, so there's really no point. But he kind of was just like, no, you can still make a difference, whether you're 12 years old, whether you're 17, 18, doesn't really matter, because where you are now is what you're doing, and you can't really look into the future because you don't know what it holds. You know God's plan for you, and I knew I was supposed to be called into ministry, but ministry is very unexpected. I've learned that. So I was just like, okay. And the last week of school, we finally got it approved. So we had our first meeting. It was me, my partner that I do it with, like my president. I don't want to say president because there's not like roles, but like the other person that's running it with me. We had our first group and we had, I think, like 8 people, which in a school of like 400, that's kind of good. That's more than I was expecting. So it went well. And I was like, okay, I can see this happening. I can really see this. And during the summer, Billy had me talk about it at camps. at Breakaway. If you guys went, I talked about it at Breakaway. And in August, we started back up again. And my principal tried to get in the way again. And I was like, no, you're not allowing this. And they scheduled something on our meeting days. I don't know if that was a coincidence or not. So we had to reschedule, and we didn't meet for about a month. And at Momentum this year, I kind of was just praying and listening to God, and he was like, you need to do this. Like, I know you want to give up. I know it's almost second semester. I'm almost done. I'm going to college soon. But you need to do this. You need to start prepping other people to do it, because they're not next. They're now. They're here now to do this. And that was kind of just like an eye-opening for me, because I thought I had to do it all, but there's other people that want to do it and run this club and bring people to Jesus besides just me in the school. And I guess I kind of just didn't realize that, because I thought I was all alone. I mean, public school's tough. If you guys go to public school, you know what I'm talking about. But there's other people that are there for you. So it's like you're never truly alone, even in like the school system or in your home or your community. And it's like, I'm happy that I get to have this club, because I know that I'm making a difference in my school. And even when I leave, I know that even if I just brought one person to Jesus, it's still one more person in the kingdom. And that's all that really matters. And I guess, I mean, I'm a big numbers person, so one person doesn't seem like a lot. But God really changed my heart, and he was like, no, that's still one more that gets to be saved and go to heaven and spend eternity with me than having them go to hell. So it was just a big eye-opening for me. And for you guys, I know some of you are seniors and juniors, but if you guys really want to start a club, you can. Like I said, it's not tomorrow, it's the next day. Like, if you want to, please feel free to talk to me. I can hook you up with Billy and Katie. They would love to talk to you guys. I don't know if you have anything planned for them to come and talk. But you guys can do this, even if it sounds really, really difficult. It's not, as long as you just have faith in God. And I know that's kind of cliche, but it's true. Stay true to him, and he'll bless you and protect you. And that's what he did for me. But yeah. Awesome.
Good job. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else who'd like to share? Yeah, let's go. Caitlin.
Is it okay if I stand down here? I wasn't gonna come up and talk, but I felt like God was like, come on, like, go. And so I'm actually gonna sit. Back to the bus thing, I wasn't freaked out, but like, I'm so glad Katie and Hannah were there, because if like we were there longer, I would have got like freaked out. The first thing that came to my mind was like, holy crap, it's cold. What is happening? But when it started up again, I was like, oh my gosh, that was a miracle. And like, I've heard people like tell me about like how God will do miracles and all that. And it's not that I didn't believe them. It's just like I've never really witnessed one, you know? And so I was like, okay. And so that happened, and I was like, rest of the night, rest of like Saturday, I was like thanking him and just like praying, because like my eyes were like open. And before Momentum, I was just kind of like, not a bad place, but just kind of like far from God, like stopped reading my Bible, just kind of felt like giving up on stuff. And it was like, after that happened, I was like, okay, God, we're doing it your way. Like, I'm done. I want to focus on like my relationship with you. And I am a junior. I'm going to be a senior next year. And so I have to like start thinking about what I want to do. And I have had this like thought about like going into ministry and just like talking and like, I don't know, just kind of going into the ministry field. But at the same time, I'm like, God, is that you telling me, or is that just me thinking? Because I have like no idea. So I'm kind of going back and forth with that, praying about it, reading my Bible. But as soon as that bust happened, like I told my parents, I was like texting my sisters, I was like telling everyone, because it just like opened my eyes. And I talked to a lot of people here about like, because I've had so much anxiety just like in the past 6 years with my knees dislocating and 3 surgeries so far is just like really scary. And I felt like Saturday morning, like at the conference or whatever, God was just like, stop being scared. Like, I'm here for you. Just give it to me. And it like really helped. And the other day, I started to get scared again that my right knee was going to go out, because I knew if it did, it meant another surgery. And I was like, God, I can't go through it. And he was like, why are you being scared? I'm here. And he was just like talking to me because it was at school. And I know Aubrey Fox not here, but she was there. And she's like, hey, it's okay, sit down. Like, because I take her home. So she's like, it's okay, sit down. Like, it's okay, we can wait, it's okay. And so I was just like, God, this can't be happening. I don't want another surgery. And he's like, your knee hasn't went out. You're not going to have a surgery. You're okay. Just like pull yourself together. Because I was like freaking out. Like, it felt like it was like moving and I was like freaking out. He's like, I felt like he was judging. Like, what are you doing? But it just like, after Friday night, I was like, okay, God, I'm going to start doing it your way. I trust you. And if you can't tell, I have my knee braces on. And I'm just like, I've been like, okay, God, I trust you. And he's like, do you? Because you're wearing those braces. So do you? And I'm just like, okay. So I'm working on it. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. But yeah.
That's good. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. How many of you guys believe that God takes what the enemy meant for evil and he uses it for good, right? He takes a bus breaking down and uses it to build our faith. We got time for one more to share. Carson, yeah, come on up, bro.
I don't know like where to start, but school, it's not going too well. I've been getting pushed around a lot. I got my head cut open, so I got shoved into a locker. And really 2022 is just, it's not the year. I mean, a good friend of mine, he goes to New Hope. We were on call and he was gonna hang himself. And I was just praying and just trying to help him through it. I called Peyton, I called everybody, and we talked him out of it. But this girl at my school said she was going to kill herself, and then she didn't come to school the next day. And supposedly what I've heard from my friends is she's not answering texts or any calls or anything. So I'm just praying that she didn't commit suicide, but hoping she'll come to school Monday. But and then it's hard when somebody you're close to wants to just end it all when they know everybody's there for you and that they can help. And a couple of my good friends, which go to New Hope, they've helped me through a lot, like suicidal thoughts, my depression, my anxiety, a bunch of stuff like that. And when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I was molested. So that wasn't very fun. I wouldn't tell anybody about it. I was keeping it in until about maybe a year ago. I wouldn't say a year ago, probably a couple years ago, I told somebody about it, and
I went through everything. They couldn't do nothing about it. And my mom was dating him at the time, which was my stepdad at one point. And one of my good friends that used to live in Glen Carbon, I haven't talked to him in a while. Apparently he started dating one girl and married her and molested him. So, but I just need prayer over my friends and me. I want to become a youth pastor, just a pastor, but it's hard whenever all this stuff is going on. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing.